Hi, thanks for joining us today. We have Dominic Mandato with Investplus Properties Canada Limited with us today. And Dominic, can you tell us some of the advantages and disadvantages of stratifying a building?
Sure thing, Chris. When you're buying a building and you started considering stratifying and changing to condominiums, it can be lucrative, and so it's no wonder why lots of people look at buying buildings to stratify as condos. But let me show you some of the pros and cons in doing so. Well, the first, in terms of advantages, one of the things that you're doing is really changing the use of the real estate, and when you do that, it can be lucrative. It's like taking a big, bare piece of land, rezoning it, adding lots, and converting into lots, adding services, and you've all of a sudden increased the value of that property. And so this is no different. You're changing it from a single title building into condominiums. What you're also doing is essentially buying wholesale and selling retail. And so you're buying this building based on its revenue, and you're selling it based on the comparables in the area. And so in a lot of cases, that can be lucrative as well. And in some jurisdictions, what's interesting about converting to condominiums is that it actually can reduce your property taxes, but not in all jurisdictions. Some of the disadvantages in doing this is you need to be aware of timing. If you're going to sell these as condominiums, you need to also figure out what your exit price is going to be, ensure that the market will be strong by the time you're done, and that you'll be able to sell these condominiums. You also need to be aware that it can trigger higher property taxes. And so if you're looking at converting today with the intent of selling at some point in the future, recognize or factor into your model, your financial model, that your property taxes are going to be higher. And lastly, not all jurisdictions are like say Toronto, where your property taxes go down. In most jurisdictions, once you increase the value of the property, in other words, changing it to condos, your property taxes do go up. And so be aware of that. So before you get started, there's just a couple of things I have here for you on what you want to know before you go into buying a building and stratifying. Number one is understand the local jurisdiction rules. Get to know the city bylaws, ensure what they require, and also find out how much time it'll take for them to approve your stratification. Number two, get a marketing and sales team. After all, you are buying a building with 20, 30, 40 suites. It's going to be virtually impossible for you to do this on your own. So put that team together. And lastly, although I have it at last, this should probably put it first, is understand who your buyer is going to be. Is it going to be a homeowner? Is it going to be an investor? And so depending on who you're going to sell to will dictate on how you're going to renovate that building and how you're going to market it. So be aware of it. So stratifying a building can be lucrative, but there are some things you need to know and get into place before you start.
Dominic, that's excellent information. And if someone wants to get a hold of you, how can they reach you?
Well, there's two ways, Chris. One is they can call us at our toll-free number at 877-663-8772, or visit us at our website at investplusproperties.com.
Great. Thanks for sharing that information today.